Hello, in this video I'm going to go over a pure class Templar support DPS build that I have developed. This is intended to pair along with the other support DPS that I created that's called the Zen Machine Pure Class Dragonknight. If you did not happen to see that video, I will link that in the description in case you're interested in that. I'll also link a couple of other playlists in the description. The add-ons that I've done, or I should say covered in videos, I will link that playlist as well as a couple of my DPS playlists. In case you're interested in those categories, you can check them out and see what other content I have covered on the game. But let's get right into this build and cover it. First off, I'm just going to hit this dummy real quick so I can use the Battle Scrolls add-on page to display the build. I think it's got a really nice display for showing builds here. So as you can see, I am a Dark Elf Templar, and I have a pure class Templar here, so I'm able to use the Bright Harbinger and Judgment's brand uh, class masteries. I'll go over those in just a minute, but I just want to cover what's on the screen here, and then we'll go into the detail of what is what. So the food I'm using on this is crunchy spider skewers. If you're not familiar with that, that gives you maximum magicka and stamina recovery. I've found a little kind of a sweet spot for this build for sustain is to give a little bit more stam recovery and have the spammable be stamina, which is a little odd, but I feel it feels easier to run in my opinion. If that doesn't fit right for you, you can switch the spammable from biting jabs to the puncturing sweeps, and then use ghastly eyeball in its place, and then that would be a full-on magicka build. This is a magicka Templar. The attributes are not listed on this page, but there's 64 points into magicka, and all the armor is divines with magicka glyphs. I have one light piece of armor, which is the Spaulder of Ruin Mythic, that is in divines and has a light glyph. All the other armor pieces are medium with magicka glyphs. I am wearing 5 pieces of War Machine on the body with 1 piece of Slimecraw helmet. Those are all medium. And then I have Way of Martial Knowledge on the jewelry. All 3 pieces of jewelry are Bloodthirsty with increased weapon damage glyphs. And then I have Way of Martial Knowledge daggers. 1 Nerned, 1 charge. You could probably go double charged if you wanted to. And then my back bar is the Perfected Crushing Wall Inferno Staff infused with a weapon damage glyph. So if you want to take a screenshot of this, this is probably a really good area to stop and look at. It's got all the weapon traits and the armor glyphs and all that listed on the gear sets column there. The skills are listed there, but I will go over those here in just a second because the names are not there. In case you don't know them by the symbols, I'll cover that in a second. The boon, as you can see, the Mundus is the thief. And so the overview of the champion points, I have Deadly Aim for single target focus and Wrathful Strikes, which will give you weapon damage across your entire build, 205 weapon and spell damage. Then I have Exploiter. If you're not running in a group where you know uptime on off balance is good, you could switch this out. Another change out you could do is you could change your back bar Inferno Staff to a lightning staff, and that would keep up your off balance uptime really nicely, and then you wouldn't have to worry about swapping that out. You probably want to put in something like Fighting Finesse in Exploiter's place if you're not sure about uptimes of off balance. And then lastly, in the blue tree, I have Master at Arms to buff direct damage, which is instant damage, not damage over time. So then the red tree, I've got Boundless Vitality, giving me more max health, Fortified, giving me more armor. Spirit Mastery, this is a must for any DPS build that's intended to go into trials. It is your job to do resurrections if somebody dies. You're first in line to do that. So make sure you slot Spirit Mastery on all of your builds so that you are doing this faster. As I've covered in any other video for DPSing, whenever somebody dies, that entire DPS per second that they're doing, damage per second, that's what DPS is. That's off the table until they get back up and alive, and the whole 6 seconds that you're rezzing them, your damage is off the table as well, unless you had some kind of a ground dot or something like that on the enemy. But it certainly is going to go down considerably while you're doing the resurrection. So make sure you have Spirit Mastery slotted on all of your DPS builds in case you need to get a resurrection. That will speed up your resurrection by 33%. So instead of, I believe the standard time is 6 seconds, this would make it down to closer to like 4. So that's going to speed that up considerably. Just keep in mind, you can also now move while you're resurrecting. That's a new thing that they added in update 49, I believe it was, back in March. So if you do have to resurrect, you be mindful you can move around if there's a ground dot or something. And then lastly, celerity, extra movement speed. That's going to help, especially if you're going to do that resurrection. You have reduced movement speed when you're doing that. So maybe celerity will help out in that aspect, as well as getting out of mechanics and moving in between trash fights and whatnot. Green tree doesn't really matter, other than obviously you want to have Steed's Blessing there so that you can move in between trash fights faster. That will definitely kick in when you're not in combat in a trial and you're moving in between areas. So now let's go through the gear that we've covered all of that. I have a front bar. Well, we'll cover the skills here since the skills are right here. These are all nicely displayed here. For the front bar, I've got Deadly Cloak. That's from the dual wield skill line. Power of Light. That is from the Dawn's Wrath skill line. Biting Jabs is the spammable from the Adric Spear skill line. And then the Templar Execute Radiant Oppression from the Dawn's Wrath skill line. I have Inner Light slotted from the Mages Guild to do a couple of things. One, it gives me Major Prophecy and Savagery on my front bar, and it also increases my Magicka recovery and my max Magicka from the Mages Guild passives. So this is really helpful, especially on a Magicka build. And then I have Flawless Dawnbreaker on the front bar to proc the Fighters Guild passives. I do not intend to use that unless there is a situation where we're getting towards the end of the fight and I can't quite get up to the full amount of the back bar ultimate. I'll pop this instead. So the back bar skills, I have Vampire's Bane and Solar Barrage. Both are from the Dawn's Wrath skill line. Then I have Ritual of Retribution. That is from the Restoring Light. Get back over there. Restoring Light skill line. And then Blockade of Fire from the Destruction Staff skill line. That's going to proc the Arena Weapon. And then I have Barb Trap on the back bar to provide me with minor force and do some pretty good damage as well. Also procs the Fighters Guild passives if I happen to be on my back bar. When I kill stuff, I'll get more ultimate that way. And then I have Shooting Star on the back bar again, also procking the Mages Guild passives, and it is my primary ultimate to shoot off to activate the War Machine gear set. So we'll cover the gear sets specifically. I have Way of Martial Knowledge, daggers on the front bar. I have Nerd and Charge here. You could do double charged if you're wanting to optimize for applying status effects. Flame on the front bar or front dagger, and then the offhand is poison for the glyphs. Always put an infused weapon damage glyph of whatever you have. I have the Maelstrom's Perfected Inferno Staff, which is also called Crushing Wall. If you do not have the perfected version, the only difference in the perfected version is the 1190 penetration that you see there. When you flip to your front bar, that 1190 does not transfer to the front bar. So it's not a massive difference to your build overall. If you don't have the perfected version, just go in there, get the standard one if that's all you have or what you can get for now. Absolutely run the standard Crushing Wall. It will massively boost your DPS. Instead of just having like a 800 something Wall of Elements, it now is going to tick 1250, and this is one of the largest AoE skills in the game. The blockade hits a ton of ads for ad pulls. It does a lot, and on top of that, it's going to keep your weapon glyph procced 100%. giving you 452 weapon and spell damage. So this is a massive, massive boost to your DPS build. I highly, highly recommend you put this on every DPS build, especially for trash pulls. So next up, we have a medium Divine Slimecraw piece with a Magicka glyph. This is simply here to get the critical chance up. And as you can see, as long as you're getting a critical chance, you could wear a one-piece Zon. I think the new Night Market helmet, the Thousand Eyes, has a line of critical chance on the top piece. So you could wear anything that has critical chance for the one piece. It doesn't have to be Slimecraw if you don't want to look like a crocodile. So moving on, there's a War Machine chest in Divines with a Magicka glyph. If you're not familiar with this set, this comes from the Halls of Fabrication trial. When you fire off your ultimate, you give you and your closest 5 group members Major Slayer for 1 second for every 10 ultimate that you spend. So the idea of this setup is you're going to want to fire your ultimate when you have 500, and you will give your group members that are close to you, the 5 group members that are close to you, you will give them Major Slayer for 50 seconds. That's the same buff that comes from the Rojo setup that is common for healers. So just make sure that you don't actually have a Rojo healer in your group, because that's going to double up the same buff. You don't want to do that. But this allows you to not have to run a Rojo healer. They can run something else. I would highly recommend that. It's just easier for your healer not to have to run that setup. It's a little bit more advanced. So Spaulder of Ruin will give up to 6 group members, not including you. The wearer does not benefit from this. This will give your group members 260 weapon and spell damage, and this will drain your recovery considerably. So you got to make sure that you are able to sustain when you're running this. If you cannot do that, then I would switch this off and just put on another mythic instead, or maybe a full monster set that's going to benefit the group, maybe Incradius Behemoth, since we're in the status effect age where everybody's going to be running these Shattered Paths Signet. If they proc burning on the enemy, you're going to help them out by giving them 5% more damage to that. That could be a huge boost possibility there. Or some other group buff monster set out there. Give it some thought. But if this is hard for you to sustain on this build, I would not run it. This is just kind of a, if you can do it, this is a way to optimize even more. So then we've got the War Machine medium armor. War Machine is medium, so I'm not going to cover the weight. War Machine Divines Magicka waist. War Machine Divines Magicka gloves. War Machine Divines Magicka legs. War Machine Divines Magicka boots. And then we have all bloodthirsty jewelry with weapon damage glyphs. I have the stamina version on here. You could do better with the Magicka version. It's only going to give you 30 more recoveries either way. It's not a huge increase, but it is Way of Martial Knowledge on all 3 pieces. They're all bloodthirsty with weapon damage glyphs on them. If you're struggling for gold mats, I would recommend that you gold out your jewelry and your weapons first. Those are going to give you the most bang for your buck on your build, and then work on your armor pieces last. But that's probably going to be the best thing. We've covered the champion points. We've covered the gear traits, the skills. We'll cover the add-on here, the Wizard's Wardrobe. I have a setup here for trash pulls, which I just covered. And so now I'm going to talk about the boss fight I just covered. We're going to talk about the trash setup that I have. And so I will just go ahead and equip that. And again, I'll smack the dummy and get a screen of that so we can work through that. So we're going to check out this setup. So basically what I've done is I've switched the armor pieces. Now I have Powerful Assault on the front bar to help with add pulls. And the skill that I'm using to proc that is on the front bar here, Proximity Detonation. This is really easy to run because all you have to do is hit it, and then it makes you become a bomb, and you can explode and it will also proc the Powerful Assault gear set. Now, why I'm suggesting this on a DPS build is because you have to be within 15 meters of your group when you proc this. 12 meters. If you are outside of that 12-meter range, real easy to see with this because the ring will tell you. So for example, this is my group members here, and if I'm standing there, they're not getting the buff. So how often do you tank or heal where you're this far away from your group? Probably pretty often. So if you put this on a healer or a tank, you have to make sure that you are within range of your group that you're proccing it on. So it becomes kind of hectic when you're trying to heal your tank through a mechanic, step out of AoEs yourself, or if you're off tanking, you're trying to chain things in, you have to come over here and hit this twice when you're next to them, and then you're proccing that and whatnot. It becomes hectic. Well, if you put this on a DPS and they're just standing in group anyway, they're going to activate it on them a lot more often. Now, if you are the only one wearing this gear set, Powerful Assault, you're going to have to activate this twice in order to spread it across all of your group members, because Powerful Assault only distributes to 5 people at a time. So you need to ensure that you're hitting that twice to hit all your DPS with all of the buff. So the other thing is if you don't gold this out, wherever your pieces of Powerful Assault are, if you don't gold this out, the weapon damage is not as high. So you're going to want to try and focus on golding this set out so that you give 307 weapon damage with the gear set. If it's purple, I believe it's 296, and it gets lower in blue and green. So the other set that I'm wearing is purely just to kind of ensure that I am doing a little bit more damage for trash pulls, and that is Yandir's Might. That comes from Pines Aegis, and that gives you stacks of weapon damage when you do critical damage. So this pretty easy to keep up. It's a pure weapon damage set. So if you want to see that set up here, let me go back into the Wizard's Wardrobe that had a pretty decent listing I can show you. Here are the gear set, or the skills. The only thing I did was I covered up the execute with proximity detonation. That's the only change that I made. You can move these skills around wherever you want. You just want to make sure that you are putting your assault skill, like the proximity detonation, on whatever bar you have Powerful Assault on. So then, as you can see, I put Yandir's Might on the chest and the 3 pieces of jewelry and the legs. And then I have the Powerful Assault set on the gloves, the waist, the boots, and the front bar daggers. Everything else is the same. I still have Spaulder of Ruin, Slimecraw, and the Maelstrom's Inferno Staff. The CP difference that I do for trash pulls, instead of having the Resurrection CP on, I put on Celerity and Refreshing Stride. When you're running, that will increase your health recovery and your mag recovery. Just a little something to add in to help get your resources back up in between trash pulls so that you can work on that. So the idea of this build, again, is to kind of pair with the Zen's machine. You ideally want to have that person fire off their ultimate first, because the pure class Dragonknight that I demonstrated in there is going to have a lot of buffs that you want to get going right away. It's got the Major Berserk, Major Slayer, and the Major Protection with the Dragonknight standard buffs. So once the Major Slayer wears off from the Dragonknight, then you would ideally want to walk through firing off this ultimate. But let's cover the class masteries that I'm using in case you're not familiar with those. The 2 that I have chosen for this build, one is Bright Harbinger. This grants your group 300 weapon and spell damage. So that is unique. You can give your group 300 weapon and spell damage, and that is proc from the Illuminate passive. which is in the Dawn's Wrath skill line here, which also provides minor sorcery. So a really quick update, they are going through and they're going to change these class passives so that they are more purely unique. I don't remember specifically what the Templar is going to get, but it's no longer going to be a minor sorcery buff. It's going to be something different, like penetration for your group, something like that, so that they actually have a truly unique class passive that makes it more of a call to bring them into your group. Because right now, as it sits, if you have a Dragonknight that's providing minor brutality, then this minor sorcery is kind of not needed and not necessary with how the system works with hybridization. So in the next update, I believe in season, I don't believe it's coming in season 1. Season 2, I believe, is when they're working on this. So that will probably drop in October sometime. Tentatively, that could change. But they've kind of talked about they're also going through potions and all of that to kind of fix hybridization and add some different buffs there. But the Templar is going to end up having a different minor class buff here. So it is going to add something to the group that's different than this. So might not be as optimal right now for this portion, but in the future they are going to change this to add a lot more usable stuff. So the class mastery here, Bright Harbinger, is going to become more powerful in the future. But as of right now, this 300 weapon and spell damage is unique, and it's almost like having another powerful assault buff in the group, because it's almost essentially the same thing, and it's super easy to keep up. All you have to do is cast a Dawn's Wrath skill one time every 20 seconds. And with all of these skills that I have being used, I have 4 of them on the build. You're going to keep that up, no problem. So with the other class mastery, Judgments brand, this is more of a selfish one. This one kind of is a flex. I think this is probably the better one to use just to keep your damage up. The other one you could look at using would be the Bastion of Light if you want to make sure that you're pumping up your ultimate a little bit more, because you can run Solar Barrage, which I'm wearing on this build, and it will basically give you Sacred Ground for that, and then it gives you a heal, and you also get ultimate every time you get that heal. If you're at full health after being healed from that, then you get 2 ultimate. So you can get 2 ultimate every second. So that's really going to pop up your ultimate really quickly to make sure that you can fire off your back bar ultimate. So that possibly could be a flex in this Judgments brand is probably going to be the best, I would think. Maybe you want to use Judgments brand for boss fights, and then maybe Bastion of Light for trash pulls. If you can work that in as a respec. I'm not sure that you can respec these in instance. The last time I tried that, it wasn't working, although it could be a glitch. I'm not sure. But you could possibly go in and try. All you have to do is hit the respec button here, go into your class mastery before the boss fight, and pull this off just like you would a skill and put that on, and then confirm it. But that's how you can do that. And then you can just confirm it just like you would a regular spec. So that will not be something that you can set up in the Wizard's Wardrobe. So because it does not at this time do respecs for you. I believe I've covered just about everything in this. Let me cover the food and potions real quick. I know I said I was on the spider skewers, but let me show that on the screen here. Crunchy spider skewers gives you 4,592 maximum magicka and stamina recovery in the amount of 459. And then I am just using a standard tri restoration potion, otherwise known as a tripot. If you want to make these and you don't have the crown version handy, that is made with bug loss, columbine, and mountain flower. Really easy to make those as long as you have the materials. Again, if you want to switch from the crunchy spider skewer and use ghastly eyeball, that will give you the same amount of maximum magicka, but instead of the stamina recovery, it'll give you 459 magicka recovery. And then I have the stamina version for the spammable here to kind of help keep that martial knowledge activated by using a stamina skill to kind of drain down the stamina on the build. I think it really works really well. It also procs major brutality and sorcery for me, as well as the sundered status effect comes from powerful light. Excuse me, power of the light, and then this can also apply sundered as well. So I believe I've covered everything. If I forgot anything, leave me a comment in the video, and I will try and answer it if I forgot something. Just wanted to try and do a video on a pairing of the other DPS setup that I did. If you liked this video and thought it was helpful, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. I have a very large catalog on the Elder Scrolls Online video game. Go to my YouTube channel and go down to the created playlists, or if you just click on the playlists tab on my YouTube channel, it will show you all of my organized content. There is separated out by subject. I have tank playlist, DPS playlist, healer playlist, general guides, add-on overviews, all kinds of stuff. Check them out, see if there's anything there that it would be interesting to you. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye.